I try to make, good judgments.
Right.
I mean, as I'm noticing, like, as I'm getting older, decisions are becoming more important to me, and I'm trying, to do what's right and healthy. Like, just maturing. It's just something that you get with age. Like, when you're 6, you're not really pulling apart decisions.
Well, not only that, too, is like, for every bad decision you make, you generally learn from it. So, I mean, sometimes you have to make those bad decisions, not consciously, but when you do, it's like you're almost guaranteed that you're not going to make that decision again.
Yeah.
I think we try to make good judgments every day, but we're going to falter. We're going to mess up. I'll be the first one to admit I've made mistakes, whether it's fighting with my sister or fighting with someone else. But I think we take something from it, and in taking something from it, we grow from it and we learn.
So I would say that I have done good judgments for me, and I have done good judgments for someone else too.
I kind of go with my gut when things come up. But when it comes to a larger decision, like, I'll really think about it, I'll look at all the consequences, and it'll take a bit more time, but that's when, like, I go to prayer and, like, think about it and really meditate on the decisions I have to make.
I think something important with decisions is, like, knowing yourself. Like, if I have a huge test Monday and I have, like, back-to-back Sweet 16s that week, and one of my friends asks me to sleep over, I'll be like, I'll just say no, because I know I can't do it. Like, I won't be able to handle all the work and, in that little amount of time.
But sometimes when I feel like I make a good judgment, it really sometimes in the end comes out as a mistake. Right. Because and I learn from that for the future.
That's good to pray and talk to other people, because it's good to get everybody else's opinions, and maybe they'll have something to share, something you didn't even think about or consider. With decision making, we tend to weigh out the pros and cons.
We can pray about it.
We can also go to our friends and family for advice.
In the end, if it's our decision to make, we must choose.
Many times we may feel torn between two sides, but we can rely on how we feel inside our gut, inside our conscience.
This is why it's so important to have a well-formed conscience to help us with our decisions.
And we also need the courage to follow it.
Next, our spotlight guest Manny tells us about a time when he used bad judgment by not going to gym class.
And another time when he used good judgment by preventing a friend from driving after drinking. It took a lot of courage, but he knew it was the right thing to do.
In high school, I didn't go to my gym class. It got to be like a huge problem. I was just always late to school, all because I just really didn't want to go to gym, because I just felt like there was no point to going to gym. It got to be such a problem. My graduation was at stake. Just had to grow up and just realize I have to do some things even though I don't like it. Sometimes when you make bad judgments, you can't go back and fix it. Like how I fixed it, sometimes you can't. I corrected a friend one time when he was about to get into the car. He was drinking, and it was definitely not the best decision to be driving. And those are the type of decisions that I'm talking about. Like, if you get into a car and you've been drinking and something were to happen, you could either hurt yourself, hurt somebody else, and you can't go back and fix that. We were at a party. I wasn't drinking, he was drinking. He was about to leave and he was about to drive, and I asked him, I was like, are you okay to drive? And he was like, yeah, sure. And for some reason, I just didn't trust him, so I kept pressing him about the issue. I was like, are you sure? Are you fine? Do you want me to drive? And it took some talking, and I was just like, I'll just drive your car. I'll be careful with it, just to be safe. And I just ended up taking him back home. I cared about him enough to talk to him. Like, I could have just left him there and said that, okay, fine, just be careful, and just hope that he got home okay. He was a good friend of mine, and I wouldn't want a good friend of mine to put himself into danger or anybody else into danger. Some people might say that it's their car, their life. It's up to them to do what they want to do, and of course they're right about that. You have to take a stand. Taking a stand might require courage, but remember, a little bit of courage could save a life.
The Catechism states that deep within his conscience, man discovers a law which he has not laid upon himself, but which he must obey.
Its voice, ever calling him to love and to do what is good and to avoid evil, sounds in his heart at the right moment.
For man has in his heart a law inscribed by God.
His conscience is man's most secret core and his sanctuary.
There he is alone with God, whose voice echoes in his depths.
God asks us not only to use our conscience to use good judgment in our own decisions,
but to help our friends.
Helping a friend to use good judgment is showing them love, showing them that you care.
Next, the teens on the street tell us if they've ever prevented a friend from making a bad decision,
and if it was difficult to do.
I've kept a lot of my friends out of trouble over the years.
Yes, I think so, and a lot of friends have helped me not do bad things too.
Yeah, I have, because my friend wanted to smoke weed, but I talked him out of it.
I try, but I mean, if they don't want to listen, then they don't listen.
Yeah, all the time, but they don't listen to me anyway. so they end up making the mistake, and then they come back to me and be like, oh, I should have listened. I'm like, yeah, I told you so.
My cousin was gonna go and go to a party, but she had to drive home after, and I told her that drinking and driving could kill her, and she didn't go.
I stopped my friend from going to this party that was gonna be like bad news, so I told him to come and he went and chill somewhere else.
I kept a friend from sleeping with a guy.
I mean, if it's one of your best friends, if they're trying to get you to not do something, you're gonna listen a lot more.
If you have a really close friend, they'll understand where you're coming from and know that you just want the best for them.
It wasn't difficult because I really love my cousin, so I want her to be safe. She respected me a lot more for it, and she thought that, you know, I actually cared for her, which I do.
It was difficult because it wasn't like the cool thing, but my friend was appreciative that I was caring about them.
I just tried to talk them out and they responded in a bad way because they said they wanted to be cool, but I told them they shouldn't do it anyway.
It was not difficult to do because I did believe it was wrong, and they still did it, but they still respected me and appreciated my wanting to help them.
Sometimes people listen, but then sometimes they get annoyed, thinking that you're babysitting. If they're your friends and you love them, you have to at least try.
One of my friends was going, to go to a party once, and there's a lot of stuff going on that we've never, my group of friends really just doesn't, get involved with too often. So what happened was, he was really psyched, and he's like, yes, I can't wait. This is gonna be something new and fresh. We're going to college next year. Let's go try it out. And I didn't really judge him or anything. I just kind of sat there and I was like, I mean, are you sure you really want to do that? Because that's really not like you. And, he eventually went, but he didn't do what he thought he was going to do. And it was nice to kind of know that, I guess I kind of helped him push in one kind of way. So he still had the fun without, doing the thing that probably would have, killed him or, really harmed him in the long run.
My group of friends doesn't really get into trouble. We try and stay away from the whole drinking and smoking scene. And one night we had a sleepover and we were kind of talking about it. Some of my friends were saying, oh, it might be cool to try it. And one friend mentioned that her sister is over the age of 21 and she would be able to get alcohol and be able to supply it. And, I talked to I have a group of friends that we're close with, but some of them I'm closer with. And I talked to my one friend, I'm like, why would they bring that up now? We really don't do things like that. And she agreed with me. We kind of decided to stay together and not get involved in drinking and going out of what we usually do.
I had a similar situation with my friends from 8th grade where we were hanging out and they decided to go off and start drinking. And I mean, I tried to convince them not to because I knew how stupid it was. And we had actually sort of talked about how stupid it was together. And when it came down to it, they chose to go down that path and I chose the other way out, and I would refuse to do that. And I ended up losing all of them as friends. But I mean, out of that, I gained great friends that respect me for who I am.
There are many times we make judgments that we regret.
Next, Manny tells us about a time when he used bad judgment in listening to rumors about a friend.
He also gives us advice on using good judgment.
Me and my best friend, we knew this girl, and my best friend really didn't like this girl. And I started becoming friends with the other girl. We were becoming really good friends. We talked to each other. We spent a lot of time together. And then my best friend started telling me a lot of things that I wasn't too happy about. And I judged her. I believed that she was just a really mean person, and I didn't want to talk to her anymore. And we haven't talked since then. And I've come to the realization that some of the things that my friend were saying, they were wrong. She just had this reputation of that. She was never that sort of person. And I definitely was wrong to judge her. I should have just got to the truth. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my life, is just listening to another person about another person. I should always find out for myself. And hopefully that maybe before the end of the summer, we can maybe start talking again.